Chapter 8. Unity of plot does not, as some persons think, consist in the unity of the hero. For infinitely various are the incidents in one man's life which cannot be reduced to unity, and so, too, there are many actions of one man out of which we cannot make one action. Hence, the error, as it appears, of all poets who have composed a Heraclide, a Theseid, or other poems of the kind. They imagine that as Heracles was one man, the story of Heracles must also be a unity. But Homer, as in all else he is of surpassing merit, here too, whether from art or natural genius, seems to have happily discerned the truth. In composing the Odyssey, he did not include all the adventures of Odysseus, such as his wound on Parnassus, or his feigned madness at the mustering of the host, incidents between which there was no necessary or probable connection, but he made the Odyssey, and likewise the Iliad, to center round an action that in our sense of the word is one. As therefore, in the other imitative arts, the imitation is one when the object imitated is one, so the plot, being an imitation of an action, must imitate one action and that a whole, the structural union of the parts being such that, if any one of them is displaced or removed, the whole will be disjointed and disturbed. For a thing whose presence or absence makes no visible difference is not an organic part of the whole.
Summary and reflection for Chapter 8.
In Section 8 of the Poetics, Aristotle delves into the principles of the proper structure of the plot, reaffirming its paramount importance in tragedy. According to Aristotle's definition, tragedy is an imitation of a complete, whole action of a certain magnitude, emphasizing the necessity of a beginning, middle, and end. Aristotle elucidates that a well-constructed plot should not begin or end at random, but adhere to these principles. He draws an analogy to the beauty of living organisms, asserting that a beautiful object, whether living or composed of parts, must have an orderly arrangement and a certain magnitude. Magnitude, Aristotle contends, is crucial for beauty, depending on both size and order. Too small an organism lacks beauty due to the confusion in the view, and an overly vast object loses its unity and sense for the spectator. This analogy extends to the plot, where a certain length is necessary, easily embraced by memory. The limit of length, Aristotle argues, is not dictated by external factors like dramatic competition, but by the nature of the drama itself. While historical practices involved using a water clock for regulation in competitive scenarios, the intrinsic limit is determined by the need for the whole to be perspicuous. Aristotle suggests that the greater the length, the more beautiful the piece, provided the sequence of events adheres to the law of probability or necessity, allowing for a change from bad fortune to good or vice versa.
Practical exercises.
Writers. Structured short story. Craft a short tragic or dramatic story that exemplifies the principles of a well-structured plot with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Perspicuous plot development. Develop a longer narrative that explores a change from bad fortune to good or vice versa, adhering to the law of probability or necessity for a perspicuous plot. Composers. Musical composition with both gradual and dramatic emotional shifts. Compose a musical piece that reflects the emotional shifts in a well-structured plot, capturing the transition from one state to another. Memorable melody within limits. Create a musical composition with a memorable melody that aligns with the limits of length suggested by Aristotle, ensuring the piece is easily embraced by memory. Dancers. Choreography reflecting plot elements. Choreograph a dance piece that mirrors the elements of a well-structured plot, with distinct movements representing the beginning, middle, and end. Emotional transitions in dance. Explore dance movements that convey emotional transitions, symbolizing the shift from bad fortune to good or vice versa in a narrative. Actors. Performance of a structured scene. Perform a scene that adheres to the principles of a well-structured plot, ensuring clarity in the beginning, middle, and end. Embodying emotional changes. Act out a scene that involves a character's transition from one emotional state to another, aligning with the principles outlined by Aristotle.